let's make lemonade. Okay. Let's go to work.
That's the signal. Go. 6. It's beautiful. Mother Nature just pissed her pants, dude!
Start your day with a jolt of energy and no-holds-barred opinions. This is The Rush, where Travis Justice and Ross Peterson bring you bold, unfiltered, and uncensored takes on sports, life, and everything in between. Buckle up and let's go.
Top of the morning to you, everybody. Welcome to the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive. Good to have you here on a Tuesday, the 8th of July. You're listening on the audio stream at therushradio.com or on the TuneIn app or the Rush Radio Google Android app. Thank you so much for tuning us in. If you're watching on YouTube this morning, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and, of course, start leaving your comments in the comment section. You can follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram. You know, rarely am I a jealous person, and rarely am I an envious person. But I am when it comes to Ross Peterson. Not because he's at Lake of the Woods, not because he's fishing, but because I've watched Ross all morning long, and he has friends. He's giddy about life. I'm watching through a window, and I don't really have that outside my family. You know, I love my family. I mean, my family's my life, but I don't have much of a social life outside of this, and I'm jealous of you. I'm envious of you. You're a lucky man. You are a very,
Travis,
very lucky man. Dude,
you're going to bring I'm not kidding. You'll make me start getting emotional. I am unbelievably lucky when it comes to my group of friends.
Well, here's the deal. I want to be Roy Firestone. I want to make you cry. Yeah. I want to be Roy Firestone. You remember Roy Firestone? Whatever happened to that guy? Whatever happened to Roy Firestone? But I want to make you cry.
Did his forehead just eventually lose the battle with his hair? Because remember, his forehead was shrinking.
Yes.
He was the only person ever that had the exceeding hairline. It didn't recede. It kept coming forward.
Those might be called hair implants. I could be wrong. I'm just making
you would know.
There.
You would know better than me, Trav. I'm glad you got to. I mean, again, just like eavesdrop on what the mornings are like here at the lake. Dude, I'm beyond blessed. You're part of that. I hope you know that. Like, man, I look at what I just did with my buddies. That's what I do every morning with you. You're the guy I get to do that with every day, where we just come on and talk about life and BS and what was yesterday like, what's today going to be like, what are you thinking about, what are you worried about? I mean, and when you're up here, it's just it's a different. We're on a vacation and we had an epic day yesterday, so it's so much fun. There's no stress. Like you're, what's the John Fogerty line? Sit by the lake and watch the world go by. And then there's another one that says, man, you at some point you will realize you're creating a lot of your own problems, right? And coming to a place like this helps you realize that. Like you're away from stuff, you go, okay. Yeah. And then, I could do this every day. No, you couldn't. You got to have the contrast. That's what makes this special and fun and awesome. And you have those conversations. And we just had it's at 5:30 up in the lodge. Rex is up there studying because he's trying to get a new license for he owns an electrical company and he's trying to get a new license. But he's also a very meditative guy. So when he told us the other day, he's like, hey, I'm going to go up and study in the lodge. I thought he was going up to meditate and pray. And so I was like, oh yeah, Rex goes up there to pray. Well, then Dusty's like, why is he going to the lodge? God's right there.
He's right there in front of you.
Sit on the rock, dude.
No, he's actually working, and sometimes just to get away. Okay, the big question is, we're going to jump right in because I know it's not an official fishing tournament up there, but a lot of people want to know the over/under on the number of fish you caught yesterday.
Number of fish I caught yesterday.
Yeah, you personally. Number of fish that you caught yesterday.
What'd you say? Yeah, no. Carlson said I should say 2. No, I'd say I was in the 15 to 20 range, something like that. Not
people put the over under at 7.5. So you crushed the over,
dude. In the last couple of years, that would have been a fair number on a day. That would have been a fair number. We hit a hot spot yesterday. We hit the major cycle, and it was about I don't know. I'd say about 10 to 11:30. Things got hot. We were pulling off doubles. Got a great picture of me and Eli both holding walleye at the same time. Eli caught a couple of slot walleye, which mean over 17 inches. But the really fun we had a fun day just doing that. The boat that we were following, because Eli and I were in a boat following a guide. Mike caught 2 50-inch muskie. Here's Mike Zeismer right there. There's Muskie Mike. Hey, Mike.
Morning.
Mike caught 2 50-inch muskie. Well, he would say just short of 50 inches. They were both 49-inch muskie.
I take it that's big.
That's a fish. That's a fish this big.
Small correction.
Damn. Now, how long does it take to bring in a muskie? I mean, is that a fight for a half hour?
No, not a half hour.
Minutes?
No, probably I'd say 3 minutes, something like that. 3 to 5 minutes from the time he hooks it. And again, that depends. If he hooks it boat side, you can get it in the net pretty quickly within a couple of minutes. But they're a giant fish. I mean, they make special nets for it, but they're ridiculous. They're ridiculous, dude. They look like one of those things you're supposed to catch a drone with. The net, I mean, the net has to fit a 50-inch fish. So they didn't have that net. So the Reuben had to net the 50-inch fish in a normal net. So right as it came on, Mike was showing
yesterday. Did you eat? Did you eat anything you caught yesterday?
We did. Yep. So yesterday for lunch, we rolled up on a island. Got off the boats, fired up a propane tank on a skillet. The guides throw some oil in. We fried up some fish, had some potato salad and baked beans. So the fish that we caught at 11 o'clock yesterday, we were eating at about 12:15.
See, what I like about this vacation that you're on, I was just in Mississippi and Louisiana, and I was spending a lot on meals, right? I mean, so it sounds like when you get up to the island and you're there because you got a wonderful breakfast delivered to you yesterday. I think today you're getting eggs Benedict delivered to you.
Yeah.
You're eating the fish you catch. It's basically you show up and your wallet doesn't come out of your pocket again.
No, I'll give tip at the end of the trip. I will give a tip, but my wallet and my watch do not come out of my bag. I don't want to know what time it is, and I don't need to pay anybody anything for a week here. Do you see why I love this place? You see where every year I'm like, dude.
Now, I personally am not a water person, right? So it's which is weird because I grew up a swimmer. I like to swim a lot, but for some reason, at some point in my life, I decided I didn't care for the water. I mean, I have a lot of friends who own boats. They have all that, and it's not that I can't hang out by the water. It's just not my cup of tea anymore. I'm probably more of a mountains, high hills guy.
That's a great track. Or is there? That's a really good thing because I think that people are. I think the third type of person is beach, but maybe this. I don't feel like this doesn't qualify as beach.
I would agree with you on that because it's not like you're going to go take you're going to lay out there by your rocks and get a suntan. You're wearing long sleeve shirts and you're going to go fishing, and it's not like you put up the umbrella to protect yourself from the sun.
Yeah,
you have like the ocean beach or the Gulf beach. You have the water to where it's just picturesque around you, where you go fishing and you use that for sporting life, or you have like the mountains and stuff like that. Like when I was coming back the other day from Louisiana, we drove through Northwest Arkansas. I don't know if you've ever been to Northwest Arkansas. Arkansas gets a bad rap for a number of reasons, but Northwest Arkansas is absolutely beautiful. I mean, there's parts of this country that you just don't understand. I've never been to the Appalachians. I'd love to see the Appalachians. I'm driving Greta to Savannah later on for college. I'm going to go through part of the country I've never been through before, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think most people are surprised when they visit someplace they've never been. You go, wow. Like when I go to Fort Robinson up in northwest Nebraska, people are like, Nebraska's just this flat state. You get up there and you're like, I had no idea this even existed. So I think tranquility is different for every.
That's exact. What a great word, Travis. What a great word. That's the word you were looking for. That's the. If you want to know what your goal is, what would make you tranquil? And this is it for me.
Yeah, that's your tranquility. That's
tranquility now.
Yes. So your version of heaven, when you die, this is where you're going to go. I
told Eli yesterday. I said, hey, because I'm like, Eli, is this amazing? He's like, Dad, this is incredible. I can see why you've raved about this place. It's 10 out of 10. We were coming home yesterday. I go, hey, I'm not trying to be creepy. When I die, you spread my ashes here. And he's like, I got it. He goes, wait, is that why you brought me up here? No.
Yeah, here's what you do. Today in the boat, you go, hey, we're going to break away from the guide. Okay, Eli, this right here, this spot is where you need to dump me.
I tell you what, if I had to pick a spot, it wouldn't be far from what you're seeing right here. Yeah.
And make sure with my ashes to take the core power that's right behind me and to dump it to give me my protein as I get into the next life.
That's going to be my urn. I figure I just have him put my ashes in a bunch of different core powers. Hand those out to my friends and go, here, guys, remember Dad fondly.
Somebody finds this and they go, it's a little dry and crunchy. What is that, bone? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Little bone.
Little bone.
So I got to tell you, man, because that's the story of our boat, and then Mike and Dusty and Audie catching the muskie. That was amazing. But the Tyrell is up here for the first time, and that's Rex's son. That was like going out the first day. You're like, man, I hope the new guy has a great time, right? That's what your goal is. Well, they actually broke off from us. They were with a different guy named Spencer. Carlstead's in the boat with Rex and Tyrell. And they go off and they fish their own morning. We don't even see them all morning. Then when we pull up at lunch, it's like this big reveal, right? Now, Dusty's caught a 40-inch northern. Mike's got a 50-inch muskie. We've caught several slot fish, and it's like, oh, man, I hope that Tyrell and Rex have had a good morning. And we pulled up, and they're like, Rex is doing the gritty as we walk up. He was so happy. He's like, oh, epic morning for all of us. So we're back, baby.
So, you are up there at a different time of year. Would you recommend maybe this time of year? Because last year and the last couple of years, you haven't had great fishing. And fishing's hit and miss. You're not guaranteed to have like this epic fishing, but I think it does matter the time of year. When you come back next year, and you will go back next year because this is a yearly thing for you, Are you thinking, maybe this first part of July is the time to come?
Dude, that yesterday, that seemed to be that kind of the consensus. But again, that was one day. The bugs have not been as bad. There was 1 hour. The first night, there was like an hour where the bugs were bad. He's asking if we're going to come back this time next year again.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. I'd say let's give that a couple days before we say for sure. Because, man, there's pluses and minuses to it all. The weather has been awesome. Last night, it was a beautiful night. I slept from 6:30 till 5.
Wow. That's a power sleep right there.
Dude, power. Thunderstorm came through. Every time I woke up, I was like, nope, back to bed. The boys just said there was a thunderstorm last night. So, yeah, we're sleeping well.
It's funny when you go on vacation, you're like, we're going to have fun. We're going to drink. We're going to do dude stuff. And then at 6:30, everybody's out like a light.
True, dude. One of the knocks of being here in July. We love sitting by the campfire or sitting on this deck and looking at the stars and watching, hoping for the northern lights and watching the Milky Way. It's amazing. And it's not dark until like 11.
So I got a question for you when it comes to my daughter, Abigail, who lives in Water Valley, Mississippi, sent me an audio clip this morning. And it was of the birds outside her house. And it was the most beautiful sound of birds. And I'm not, and my wife has this app. They'll get out and they'll say, hey, what bird is this and stuff.
Nice.
So are there any sounds up there that you like when you wake up, you're like, oh, it's just good to hear that?
The water hitting the lake, the water lapping against the lake, I think is it. Because there are birds up here, lots of birds, and you will hear them. But I think if that's the sound of the morning, that's what it is.
Just a whoosh, whoosh,
that constant, yeah.
I hear that. I could hear that in the background.
On freaking cue.
I have no idea what kind of bird that is.
I'm going to guess that was a seagull, because that's mostly what we have up here.
A white-bellied yellow-beaked seagull?
It's it. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And then yesterday we were fishing around a loon. So we're fishing and all of a sudden dead quiet and you hear, loo, loo. I go, Eli, that's a loon. You can see it out on the lake. And then I said, they can swim like an amazing amount of time. And just as I said that, he went down.
Because those are cool videos, right? And I'll sit and watch those, like when a bald eagle flies over a lake or a river and just scoops down, grabs a fish out, takes it up to eat. Do you see stuff like that? Do you see that those dramatic kill videos that you live just like, oh, watch this. He's going to dive in and get a fish.
I have one of those videos.
Really?
Yeah. I have a video of a guy standing 5 feet from me doing exactly what you're talking about. Holding up a fish to an eagle. It was a fish we'd caught and it was going to die. You know what I mean? Hook is too deep. We're fighting it. Can't get to it. We know this fish is going to die. The eagle's watching you in the trees. I mean, they sit right there. You can see them. So he holds the fish up, throws it into the lake. Fish comes swooping, or eagle comes swooping in, swings around, comes down, snaps it out of the water 10 feet from me. It's pretty cool.
And then you're like, I'm glad I'm not a fish, because that eagle could do some damage, man. Those talons come down, just grasp on
something I learned about eagles, dude. I always thought eagles were like majestic hunters and like the king of the sky type of thing. You know what I mean? No, dude, they're
because we've been told that the bald eagle is the greatest bird on the face of the earth.
Been brainwashed,
yes,
and lied to, bamboozled is what we've been, because they're a freaking buzzard. They're a buzzard. They take the easiest meal they can possibly take. So not at all what the eagle has been presented to be.
You know why that is? It's human. I'm not saying a bird is human, but it's
good
like
marketing.
most humans.
It's good marketing.
It's the path of least resistance. You're gonna if you can do something easy, we're going to do it easy. And animals are probably no different.
That's exactly what I have to. Yeah. Yeah. But I just think it's been good PR. The Eagles have hired some good lobbyists. They've gotten some good they've really done a good job of controlling the message.
Yeah, when you have the power of the United States government behind you, how can you fail?
Imagine how the pigeon lobby feels. They're probably like, what do we got to do?
The pigeon. Okay, the eagle says, we've got the United States government. We've got the full force of the United States government, the United States military. We put the word patriotism.
We are the symbol of freedom around the world.
The pigeon has Mike Tyson. The pigeon has Mike Tyson.
Right. The pigeon's known for shitting. I'd be upset.
Yeah, it's just not fair in the bird world. Just not fair. Is there a fish like that? Is there a fish that
is there? Yeah, the rock bass. Yeah, the rock bass.
That's the Americana.
It's
the fish.
That's the pigeon of the fish world. You catch it, you go get rid of it.
You know, Ross is wearing a kind of a t-shirt hoodie today, a long sleeve, thin cloth hoodie. The only thing you need, Ross, I think right now, as I look at you, and I'm trying to describe this to the people who aren't watching but are rather listening, is that would make you look really distinguished are those glasses that had like the magnet in the middle, and they were like down on
and
your
the glasses that unhook and come back
that
down
unhook.
here.
You would look distinguished. You would look like a professor. It's the only thing that's missing out of your.
But dude, I am, you know this about me. I am blind without these Coke bottles strapped to my head. Blind.
Well,
So
I'm
if
glad
I-
you're using
when
Coke
I-
bottles. Atlanta
I-
Coca-Cola bottling would appreciate that.
I can
Yeah.
barely tell where the screen is.
You see, but when you take them off, you took them off. If they just would have unsnapped and like dangled on your breastbone, I'd be like, that dude's a smart dude. He's
But
well educated.
But I would only be fooling you because as soon as I took them off again, it'd be like, "Hey Ross, is that a bear over there?" I'd go, "What?"
Speaking of bear, are there bear up there? Is that black bear country?
Yeah. In fact, when Mike was fighting a 50-inch muskie yesterday, Audie saw one off in the distance. Bear and a muskie, all within a matter of moments.
Damn.
Yeah.
You see it all.
Last year we saw like 5 or 6 bear. We saw 2 of them in the morning swimming, and then in the afternoon we saw a mama and 2 of her cubs. And that's that again. No matter how hot the fishing is, you stop what you're doing when you see a bear. Not out of fear. It's just majestic.
Yeah, because you're like, they're not going to swim out here and get me. I can just sit there and look at the bear from a distance. 515-517-2303. Coming up right around 7 o'clock, Dr. Jason Sullivan from DeMoss Orthopedic Center is scheduled to join us. We're going to be talking about injuries. Of course, Caitlin Clark, we should find out today whether she's going to play tomorrow. Or I guess, do they play tomorrow or tonight? I'm trying to figure out what I need to look and clarify. They may be in action tonight. But of course, she's missed a number of games because of a groin injury. And yesterday, Ross, we learned that Tyrese Haliburton will be out the entire NBA season for the 25-26 year. And a lot of people are probably like, man, you make this announcement already. Are you jumping the gun here? And I actually like what the Pacers are doing here. And I like the fact that Tyrese Haliburton has probably agreed to do this, because you hear athletes all the time going, I'm going to get back. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to rehab as much as I can. I think this takes a lot of pressure off of Tyrese Haliburton to get back into the game. Like, what you don't want to do is come back from an injury like this too fast and risk even more injury. And to me, just by saying, you're done, we're shutting you down, you don't worry about this, you come back in the 26-27 season and you're 100%. To me, making the call right now lays the expectations for Tyrese Haliburton, lays the expectations for the Pacers, and most of all, Pacer fans, because they don't have to sit there going, when's Tyrese coming back? How's the rehab coming? And sometimes when you put that pressure on yourself to get back in the game because you're so competitive, you can do more damage. I don't like that Tyrese is missing, because you don't want to miss the entire
I get you. No, dude, I think what you're saying, that it is I had not considered that. And when I saw that news yesterday, it was more of just like, damn, that sucks that there's a year without one of the most exciting players, and a guy that all of us in Central Iowa really like. Most of us in Central Iowa really like.
I think even Iowa fans could appreciate Tyrese Haliburton, right?
You and I are Hawkeye fans that like the guy. I think that most people do, but again, there's somebody out there that doesn't like the guy for some reason. So whatever, that's fine. I do think when I saw that news yesterday, it was like, damn, this sucks. That's a great point. That number one, you set the expectation for Tyrese not to have to rush back. You set the expectation for the fans not to expect him to come back and be pushing on him, because, dude, had they said, we've seen these Achilles injuries. Maybe this is why I'm glad you're having Dr. Sullivan on. This is a great question for him of like, how does Aaron Rodgers do this and he's back in like weeks or whatever? I mean, it seemed like it was crazy how fast he came back. And there's different severities of an Achilles injury apparently, or is it just how the body's responding, or what are those other factors that contribute to that? I wonder. Well, that's a little too dark.
Well, that's a good question that we can ask Dr. Sullivan. But they said that, Tyrese's was a little higher, a lot more blood rushes in there. But no matter what severity of an Achilles you have, it's a pretty darn serious injury, and it's hard to come back. And rehabbing those, as we've seen from other athletes, takes a long time. You're talking at least, when Aaron Rodgers did it, I think he came back in 3 months, maybe 3.5, 4 months. what his typical recovery time is 8 months, maybe even longer. And so here they're telling Tyrese, you're going to get a year and a half to come back from this. And we'd rather have you guaranteed to be 100% than even try to risk it. And they didn't even bring up the playoffs. They're like, nope, we're shutting him down. And that's not easy for an organization. Right?
And Trav, I think what else you do there is if he does recover quicker, people will then be excited. You've set the expectation at one point. If he doesn't come back, that's what you told people. If you do make the playoff run next year and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, a week out from the playoffs, guess what? Guess who you're going to see in the building tomorrow? Guess who? But we'll know ahead of time. If he's ahead of schedule, they will be telling us, hey, by the way, Tyrese Haliburton's shooting. Tyrese Haliburton's running around. He's actually able to make some cuts and looking good. He's at 75%. If that happens, I think it's smart to set that expectation that he won't be there. And then if he is there, everybody's elated with it.
You know, right after the injury, Tyrese Haliburton said he would do it all over again with no hesitation, meaning that, you know, he had the injury before, I think in game 5, injured the Achilles in game 7, said, you know what, I would do it all over again. The GM yesterday said, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it. I would have sat him out game 7 if I would have known this. Here's the thing with injuries. You never know when injuries are going to happen. And we could be seeing this with Caitlin Clark. You know, she came back after 5 games with her original injury, comes back, gets re-injured. Did that play a part into it? Because you're overcompensating other parts of your body.
I think Dr. Sullivan's going to tell us that can be a factor. He's a doctor, so he's not going to say, oh, absolutely, this is what causes it. But I can't imagine it's not in some way a factor. You're changing the way that your body. We've all done it. If it's just a limp, your foot hurts. You stepped on something. So now all of a sudden you're walking all funky. Your body compensates for that, and then that does weird things.
Yeah, I mean, and another question I want to ask him, because it's true, is what sports put more tension on your body? I see Tony and Frank are talking about, and Tony said the best, you know, demands of a particular sport and position matters as well. Basketball full of high demand, explosive movements, multiple directions. And when you torque on your body like that, things are going to happen. I mean, your body is a machine, much like your car, much like your washing machine, your dryer, and I don't mean to compare your body to that, but
it's the same. It's a machine. It wears down, it breaks down. Dude, I think that's fair to say with the Caitlin Clark stuff. I readily admit I'm too much of a conspiracy theorist, okay? And I do too often run things through the filter of, people will lie to you. They'll lie to you for their best interests. There's an industry that has grown around Caitlin Clark.
A $500 million, maybe $1 billion industry that's grown around Caitlin Clark.
Mary Lou Retton used to be an industry. Britney Spears used to be an industry. This will not last forever. And it only lasts as long as Caitlin Clark is really good at basketball. And if she's hurt, and that $1 billion industry that's been built with hundreds of people depending on it, hundreds of people are depending on Caitlin Clark being in the WNBA and being good in the WNBA. If either one of those things doesn't happen, this all goes. It doesn't go away. It's affected. Well, and I think that there's an incentive there, Travis, to kind of lie to us. There's an incentive there to tell us, oh, yeah, she'll be back in a minute. She's just out for a few day to day. So I don't know that we're being lied to about it. I think that there's a potential that we are.
515-517-2303. We'll continue the WNBA conversation. We'll come back. Also, the injury conversation. An interesting one at Wimbledon yesterday. We don't talk a lot of tennis, but I thought this was an interesting story that came out of the All England club yesterday when it comes to injuries. It is the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
The Rush Radio is now on the free TuneIn app. allowing you to enjoy the show on Apple products and Android Auto. Download the free TuneIn app and search The Rush Radio to take Travis and Ross wherever you go.
Your house wasn't built for bats, birds, or raccoons, but try telling them that. At Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions, we've been helping Iowans take back their homes for over 20 years. We use cost-effective, eco-friendly methods to solve wildlife and pest problems the right way. Whether it's bats in your attic, birds in the vent, raccoons in your chimney, or moles in your yard, we have long-term solutions. Call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400, and let's make sure your home doesn't become their home.
The Royal Mile, where everyone's a wee bit British. The Royal Mile is downtown Des Moines' living room with classic pub favourites. Pair them with a glass of whiskey or an expertly poured Guinness. It's bloody brilliant. The Royal Mile, a proper British pub.
There's always something new at Fong's Pizza. The patio is open and ready for you, your friends, and an ever-changing menu of tiki drinks. Or try our new noodle dishes alongside your favorite slice. It's all happening this summer at the new Fong's in the East Village.
Thinking about buying a home? Get pre-approved in 30 minutes with Gary Presnell at Northwest Bank in Des Moines. Gary offers first-time home buyers programs, VA, FHA, IFA, and conventional loans. Call Gary at 515-975-6767 or find his profile at nw.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
You know, Brian, at Central City, we really do have the best selection around.
I know, high quality stuff you can't find anywhere else.
Whistle Pig Plantation Rum.
Yeah, and over 150 of the best scotches on earth.
And a ton of bitters, mixers, and more.
You know what we are? High class.
Definitely high class, yeah.
Make way for the natty.
Okay, maybe medium class.
Central City Liquor is home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the Wooden Nickel program.
Brennan Santone here with Willis Cadillac. It is officially summer. Behind me I have a beautiful CT5 Blackwing with over 600 horsepower and drift metallic. It is available on our show floor. We also have EV Conquest on all of our EV models. We do have some lease loyalty just for owning a 2012 or newer Cadillac as well. And also we have gotten several new CT4s and 5s in. Come check out this summer what we got going on over our Clive location or check us out at williscadillac.com.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
The best bread is made from scratch, freshly baked with locally sourced ingredients and love. At Big Sky Bakery, we take great pride in our delicious products. We know you'll enjoy them almost as much as we enjoy baking them. Find us at the downtown Des Moines Farmers Market every Saturday.
Back like a rash you thought was gone. Travis and Ross aren't contagious, but they are addictive. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
Welcome back to the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive. I'm Travis Justice. He's Ross Peterson. We're here till 8 o'clock this morning. Don't forget you can listen to the Rush Radio Show on constant replay at therushradio.com. You can also find the podcast version of the show wherever you download your podcast. And, of course, listen to us on the TuneIn app, whether you're using the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto. Just an easy download. The app is free. And search The Rush Radio, and you can find us right there. Also, when you go to therushradio.com, you can buy Rush Radio Show merch. That's right. You can get yourself a Rush Radio sweatshirt. You can get yourself a T-shirt, a coffee mug, and start representing the show wherever you are. Of course, 15% of the sales of the Rush Radio Show merch go to Can Play. And we decided that yesterday. Great organization in Central Iowa, allows opportunities for people who may not always get an opportunity to play sports. And so 15% of our sales will go to Can Play. And so you can help out a really good organization there.
Wonderful group. Love Jack and the crew over there. They've been a big part of the team for a long time. So
that's right. And of course, later on this year or next year, you can see Ross play wheelchair basketball. And Ross is becoming quite good at it. So he's and he knows how to get on the right teams.
I'm a former slam dunk champion. I've told you this. They ended the contest after I won it. I won it, I think, back-to-back years, and they were like, we'll just call it the Ross Peterson Memorial Slam Dunk Contest because nobody can beat the guy. I'm throwing balls off the backboard, windmilling, went around the back. You know how difficult it is to go around the back in a wheelchair?
Hard.
Gotta have wingspan.
And Ross has the wingspan. We've been talking about injuries, and of course, Dr. Jason Sullivan scheduled to join us at 7 o'clock. He's from DeMoss Orthopedic Centers. An injury yesterday at Wimbledon. Wimbledon's going on, and at the All England Club. And Ross, it was Yannick Sinner is the number one player in the world, and he fell behind 0-2 in sets yesterday. So he was on his way to getting beat. And he was taking on Grigor Dimitrov, and Dimitrov's up 2-0, and he has to forfeit because of injury in the third set. This is the fifth.
Up 2-0.
Up 2-0 on the number one player in the world. And he has to forfeit. Can you imagine just what that does to you mentally? And this is the fifth straight Grand Slam tournament that Dimitrov has had to forfeit from because of injury.
Dude.
And it shows you the fine line in athletics between greatness and maybe never being heard of, right? And that is he's a tremendous tennis player. You're up 0-2 on the number one player in the world. And in all but two of these tournaments, I think he got to the fourth round. He's got to the quarterfinals. Last year at Wimbledon, he was knocked out, I believe, in the first round because of injury. But injuries can keep somebody who has tremendous talent from being truly great. It's kind of, I mean,
Dude,
I feel sorry for the guy.
The chips have to fall your way. You got it. Absolutely is about skill, and it's merit based when it comes to sports. You got to be the best one to be called the best one, but you also had to have a lot of luck fall your way for a long time. We all have somebody in our life that, I mean, maybe it's a professional athlete. I just saw S. Williams put Bo Jackson in there. We all have somebody in our life that is like, man, that guy or gal, she was going to be great. Why didn't that person become great? Because whatever, one of those chips did not fall the right way. Maybe it was an injury. Maybe it was an opportunity. Maybe it was love of the game. Whatever. Dude, 5 straight. You're up 2-0 on the number one player in the world.
Cruising.
And in tennis, this Travis, this doesn't happen in tennis. Upsets are rare in the tennis world. I mean, the number one player doesn't always win the Grand Slam, but man, when you look at the quarterfinals of the Grand Slam, it's rare not to see 3 of the top 5 players in the world right there. I mean, right. Yeah. It's up 2-0 on the number one. 5 straight majors you've had to bow out of.
And you wonder what that does to you mentally. And we're talking about a tennis player here, but I think this can go wide-ranging for athletes in general. Hell, people in general. When you become snake bit, it always has to sit in the back of your mind, is it going to happen again? Is it going to happen again? It's almost like a manifestation of reality. Like if it's sitting there going, okay, am I going to get hurt? Am I going to get hurt? It's happened at this time, or when is it going to happen? And you almost manifest it to take place.
It's the opposite of Hilton Magic, Travis. In Hilton Magic is, if you believe it, it's true.
Okay.
Right? If you like when you say you manifest it, when you start to think you're snake bitten and you go, oh man, I have all the bad luck. you will find bad luck. Hilton Magic is the exact opposite. Everybody in that arena, again, we've all seen it. It's a 20-point game. There's 12 minutes left in the game. Game's over. J.C. Holloway hits a three-pointer or whatever, or whoever. And you go, Jake Sullivan. You go, oh, my God, here we go. Now it's a 17-point game. Now it's a 14-point game. Now it's an 11-point game. Now we're going to win. And it's the opposite. It's that mental effect. There's a line in the movie Boss Baby. I know this is weird. The movie Boss Baby. Alec Baldwin actually is the voice of the boss, of the little baby. He's the boss baby. And there's a line in there about if you aim for failure, you'll always succeed. If you go into something saying, this isn't going to work out. I know this isn't going to work out. How do I know it's not going to work out? Because this is the way my life is. Yeah, you're right. It ain't going to work out. It's like when somebody says, I'll never make $1 billion. The right response is, not with that attitude. If you aim for failure, you'll always succeed.
See, and this probably happens in my life more than I realize. I don't aim for failure. I prepare for failure, meaning that I always say, okay, what's the worst possible outcome? So I'm mentally prepared for that, but then I try not to have said worst possible outcome. Does that? Yeah. And it's probably the wrong attitude to take. No. It's probably why I'm risk adverse. I don't take a lot of chances.
I think that's what you are, Travis. I don't think that. I think you're just. Yeah, you think through your decisions. I don't think that it's quite the same thing.
Yeah, but sometimes thinking through your decisions can cripple you. It can literally, because you probably have people in your life and some people that exceed, especially in when it comes to money or when it comes to athletics. They're like, I'm all in. I'm not scared of failure. If I fail, I get up and I learn from my mistakes.
You know who that reminds me of? Your buddy Scott Spreitzer. Scott Spreitzer has told us, Scott does really well in his life, right? And Scott has told us many times I was betting myself down to zero. Many times. I had the entire lot pushed in and lost. And went, okay, all right, here we go. Now we reset. We start over. I'd say Mark Charter's that way. Mark is a guy in my life. Mark has what he has always tried to talk to me as an abundance mindset. And if there's one thing that he's helped me with in my, there's 1,000 things Mark helped me with in my life, but one of those was changing that mindset of what's possible, what's available, because I did live for a long time without that abundance mindset. Mark has an attitude of like, well, I'm going to make money. How? God's got a plan. That's how.
I'll figure it out somehow.
Yeah. And it's going to happen. So I don't worry about that because I asked God to take care of that for me. And so now and you see that and you go, oh, that's admirable. I want that.
It's interesting we're having this conversation because last night I rewatched The Founder. You ever watch The Founder with Michael Keaton about Ray Kroc?
Yes, the McDonald's movie.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Rewatched it. And my wife was like, why are you rewatching it? I go, it's weird. And I don't know why I'm watching it, but like little clips have been popping up in my Reels feed, right? So there was just lines from the movie. I said, I think I'm going to watch the movie. Here's what I got out of it. And maybe it was a signal. Now I'm going to be 55 years old. Ray Kroc was 52 when he basically took over McDonald's. And maybe the lesson to me was it's never too late. It does, because Joe Castiglione is going to retire. It was announced yesterday as the athletic director from Oklahoma. If you look at Joe Castiglione, an amazing athletic administrator. I mean, what he's done at Oklahoma over his 30 years, Ross, at Oklahoma, his first big one was to hire Bob Stoops. Remember, he took the job. He left Missouri, went to Oklahoma, and everybody at Iowa thought that Bob Stoops was going to get the job. This young guy in his 30s named Joe Castiglione hires Bob Stoops away from Iowa. And I look back, I go, okay, you're 67 years old. You did this in your 30s. And I think we get this in our mindset that we get too old to do something like, well, time's passed me by. And I do that all the time. I sit here and look at my life. Sometimes I go, I'm a 55-year-old white dude. I'm at the end of my line. Who's going to give me a shot? Or I'm too old to do this. And maybe it was just a reminder of, Ray Kroc did it at 52, and he built, in a short amount of time, $1 billion empire.
I love how people process things so totally different. Because I watch The Founder and Ray Kroc's the bad guy. I watch it and I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad for the McDonald brothers. And this guy came and stole their thing. Did he? Did he steal it, or I mean, we would not have McDonald's if it weren't for Ray Kroc.
In the form it is today, you are 100%.
Yeah, no way.
Because it's kind of like we say when coaches get fired, right? We say, hey, you've taken it to a place that you can't take it any higher because you're crippled by your obsession for quality control, having a say in everything. Somebody had a bigger vision. Now, I'm kind of with you. And this is kind of why I rewatched the movie, is that you're right. Ray Kroc does come off as the bad guy. But there are parts in the movie where you see he struggles internally with himself of calling McDonald's number one, the one in Illinois. Well, it really wasn't. And you could see where he struggles, where he knows he's telling a lie, but the story is better with that because this is where the vision of what he had all started.
And Travis, what are people going to remember? They're not going to remember the details. They're going to remember how the story made him feel. And that's what McDonald's did. And in that movie, he nails it. He's like, do you know what? And when he says to the one brother, when they're in the bathroom during the court case, and he says, you never got it, did you? You thought it was your burgers. You thought it was your fries. You thought it was the system. It was the name. It made people feel like they were going someplace family owned and operated. McDonald's.
That's no McDonald's hamburger. One of the great Eddie Murphy lines of all time. The worst part that Ray Kroc did to the McDonald brothers, because he paid them a lot of money at that time of the year, was the handshake deal where he says over the 1% royalties in perpetuity. He goes, my investors won't take it. And they knew they were getting lied to. It cost the McDonald's family like $100 million a year in today's, because he's like, we'll do a handshake deal, and they could never prove it after that. And Dick McDonald knew, according to the movie, that they got screwed right there, and they knew it. But it was just one of those things I rewatched yesterday just to remind me that
that's a good movie. That's a good movie. But when you said it, it reminded me that movie somehow made me not like Michael Keaton.
And he's a likable guy.
A very likable guy. He's Mr. Mom.
Isn't that funny that there are some roles that actors play that you go, I don't like you personally now.
Wilford Brimley. I never liked Wilford Brimley. I always felt like my grandpa was yelling at me about eating my oatmeal, or I'd get diabetes. Eat your oatmeal. Get diabetes.
In Cocoon,
Yeah.
He was actually where Wilford Brimley probably did it, and he was perfect for the role. Remember, he was like the henchman in The Firm with Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah,
yes. You're like, you're not that nice grandpa guy. You're mean. I don't want to go to grandpa's house.
Ned Beatty. Any of the guys from Deliverance. I never saw him the same after watching that movie.
And Ned Beatty was in a lot after Deliverance.
Yeah, Superman 2?
Well, Superman 1.
Superman 1 was okay.
Yeah. Wow. Boy, rabbit holes we go down that we never expect we're going to go down. But if you haven't watched The Founder, or you have, go back and watch it. There's a lot of life lessons in there.
It's a fun movie. It's and all of us are familiar with McDonald's, so it kind of tells that story.
Yeah, the dangerous part of movies like that, because it's based on a true story, is that it becomes the true story. Right? I mean, not everything happened like that, but because that's your only
real important clarification, based on a true story.
Based on a true story.
Rudy is based on a true story. So we were like, it's fake because Joe Montana said they never threw their jerseys down. Oh.
But we all think he did. We all think every player walked into Dan Devine and threw their jerseys down. And but it added to the moment of the movie.
Very much. Made you feel.
Yes, it did.
It made you feel. You saw that moment, you're like, God, I'd throw my jersey down for Rudy too.
Yeah. Rudy. Field of Dreams.
Ned Beatty is Rudy's dad.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Fighting a gorilla in there? What's going on?
Good catch with the Ned Beatty being in Rudy.
Is he okay?
Yeah, everything okay up the leg of the woods? Somebody fall? Somebody get a fish hook in their hand? You look concerned.
Oh, he's laughing. He's okay. All right. It literally sounded like Audie was fighting a gorilla in there for a minute.
Probably fighting himself.
I thought it was the 1 versus 100. The silverback had landed on the island. It was our turn. Here we go, boys. Start throwing bodies. Audie was the first one up.
Oh, man.
No, it turns out he was brushing his teeth and gagged himself. Jesus.
How do you... I'm trying to think if I ever...
I don't know. I just...
Speaking of brushing your teeth, now this is going off on a tangent, and I apologize for doing this, folks.
All right.
And this is another example of don't be afraid to try new things. My wife got a new toothpaste, and it's a toothpaste from Italy that she found when we were over there.
Okay.
I
don't like it already.
It's black licorice.
No.
It's
no.
It's actually pretty good, Ross. And
Don't
I don't like
say
black
that.
licorice. It's actually really good. Black licorice toothpaste. No, it's not bad.
Does it taste at all like black licorice?
Yes.
Then no.
Yes, but not as overpowering as black licorice or black licorice jelly bean.
So it tastes like a turd, but just a little bit like a turd.
No, it's not. It doesn't taste like a turd. I was actually surprised because I couldn't find any other toothpaste because I've always avoided it. I'm kind of like you. And I'm like, God, there's no other toothpaste here. I'm going to try this. And then it was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought. Matter of fact, I kind of like it.
Charlie's got a much better option for you. Just gargle Jägermeister.
Ooh.
Rather than using black licorice toothpaste. That's gross. Never would I try it. I don't like. Black licorice is a gross flavor. You can't. It's not like, I got a little taste of black licorice in there. No, if you have black licorice, that's the flavor. It's the flavor.
Because it overpowers everything, you mean? And if you mix like the black licorice jelly beans with the other ones, it doesn't matter.
You have black licorice jelly beans. It's not like, I can pick up some lemon lime in that. No, it's black licorice. It's the most overpowering, disgusting flavor. I use, now I thought you were going to, because I use the Arm & Hammer baking soda toothpaste.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one. A lot of people, like the kids are like, that's gross.
Why? Because it foams in your mouth?
And I say, you're gross. How you like that?
Would your kids be like, I'm not brushing my teeth until you get me like...
No, they wouldn't. It wouldn't go that far, but I have, it's not a hill I die on, so I do buy them their own. I do buy them their own toothpaste.
Yeah, you want to make parenting as easy as you can. That's not one of those things that's worth your time.
Important lesson is that hill to die on. You know, if you're a new parent, you got to learn that.
Double Decker says the Rush needs a shirt design going down a rabbit hole. Oh, we're working on it. That will be a design coming soon. Something designed around a rabbit hole, and because that's what we tend to do. And, you know, we've gone from injuries in tennis to coming back from injuries in other sports to the founder on to black licorice.
Mike called black licorice an abomination. And I'm not going to look that up, but I'm going to agree with it.
But let's use this, Ross, is that you're fishing.
Yeah.
And something tells me that, and I've said, I'm not a fisherman. I have no interest. Our mutual friend, Pat, always wants me to go to his lake up there in South Dakota because he's got himself a boat, wants me to go fishing. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Now, if I went and actually did fishing and I came back and said, boy, I loved it, you'd be like, see, I told you so.
Yeah, I've tried black licorice. This is not a thing of like, oh, dude, if you have it done the right way.
Toothpaste.
If you haven't had Wellaby's black licorice, I've had black licorice. I know the flavor. Yeah, dude, we were talking about this the other day. You know how like some people, have you heard about the thing with cilantro? Did you know that cilantro tastes different to different people?
Doesn't everything taste different to different people?
But cilantro specifically, though, there are some people that taste soap when they taste cilantro. It tastes soapy to them. And so they can't have it on stuff because to me, cilantro tastes spicy and minty.
Tastes like cilantro. How does cilantro taste? Like cilantro?
Yeah, you can tell it's a pine tree by the way that it is.
I had no idea.
Alan says cilantro tastes like Clorox to him. There's another one.
I've never consumed Clorox. I've smelled Clorox. I've never tasted Clorox. Parmesan cheese.
There are some people that taste Parmesan cheese and it tastes like throw up. It tastes like bile. So maybe that's just it. Maybe when I taste black licorice, and I'm not much of a red licorice fan. It would not be anywhere on my list of snacks. If I had to eat it, I'd eat it, but not going out of my way. What is licorice?
Sugar.
It's just sugar rolled into a tube.
Sugar and gum and
anise, because that's black licorice is called. The flavor is anise. Tastes like anise.
I see what you did there.
It's true. It's called anise because it's ass. I said it.
515-517-2303. Again, Dr. Jason Sullivan scheduled to join us just after 7 o'clock, hoping he hops on with us. But we have a lot more to get to. Kirk Herbstreit causing some ruffles within the ESPN ranks.
Oh, I didn't know this either.
Yeah, I think, Ross, and we'll get to it in the second hour, I think it's just to tease it, I think people are making a mountain out of a molehill because I actually went back, got the clip. I want to play it for people when we talk about it.
Okay.
But it just shows you how if somebody brings up your name or has something in conversation around a general topic, how people can take things maybe out of context, blow it up into something bigger than it really needs to be. And I think this is what we have a case of here, but we'll discuss that in hour number 2. It is the Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive.
The Rush Radio is now on the free TuneIn app, allowing you to enjoy the show on Apple products and Android Auto. Download the free TuneIn app and search The Rush Radio to take Travis and Ross wherever you go.
Your house wasn't built for bats, birds, or raccoons, but try telling them that. At Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions, we've been helping Iowans take back their homes for over 20 years. We use cost-effective, eco-friendly methods to solve wildlife and pest problems the right way. Whether it's bats in your attic, birds in the vent, raccoons in your chimney, or moles in your yard, we have long-term solutions. Call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400, and let's make sure your home doesn't become their home.
Hey everybody, Mason Miller, sales manager out here at Willis Infinity. We have some great stuff going on this month. Right now you can get $4,000 off a brand new QX80, 2.9% out to 60 months. On top of that, QX60s are doing 1.9 clear out to 60 months, 2.9 at 72, and even an incentivized rate at 4.9 at 84 months. For more information, come see us in our showroom or visit us online at willisinfinity.com.
The largest selection of German beer in the world? You'll find it at the Hessen House. From Doppelbocks to Oktoberfest to Hefeweizens and Dunkels, there's no passport needed for the deliciously different beer and food at the Hessen House. So grab your friends and make it a fun night out. The Hessen House, 4th and Court, Des Moines.
You know, Brian, at Central City, we really do have the best selection around.
I know, high quality stuff you can't find anywhere else.
Whistle Pig Plantation Rum.
Yeah, and over 150 of the best scotches on earth.
And a ton of bitters, mixers, and more.
You know what we are? High class.
Definitely high class, yeah.
Make way for the natty.
Okay, maybe medium class.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the Wooden Nickel program.
Back like a rash you thought was gone. Travis and Ross aren't contagious, but they are addictive. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
Hour number 2 of the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive. Good to have you along on a Tuesday.
How are you?
If you are listening on the audio stream at therushladio.com or the Rush Radio Android app or the TuneIn app, thank you so much. Watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube this morning, hit that subscribe button. We like subscribers. Keep growing the subscriber base. Like the video, and of course, leave your comments in the comment section and follow us on your social media channels, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Ross, we started the show talking about injuries. Of course, Tyrese Haliburton, Caitlin Clark dealing with injuries, and they're part of life. They're part of sports, especially. So when there are injuries, we like to bring on an expert. We like to think we're experts.
Not in this field. We don't even pretend.
Not in this field. So the smartest man we know when it comes to injuries is Dr. Jason Sullivan from the DeMoss Orthopedic Centers, and he joins us this morning. Good morning, Doc. What's up?
Hey, morning, guys. How's your summer going?
You know,
wonderful.
Yeah, well, Ross is up in Canada right now. He's fishing. Now, last week you were golfing. So Ross golfs, but his tranquil place is on the lake. That's where he finds the most relaxation and tranquility. Where do you, who have a high stress job, you're cutting people open, is it a golf course? Is it a lake? Where's your tranquil spot?
It's sure not at my kids' sporting events. I know that. But, no, I don't know. I'm a pretty simple guy. The golf course with some buddies is probably as tranquil as it gets.
Now, before we dive into the injuries, you were up at Dismal River, which is in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. And we were talking earlier how places in the United States have unbelievable geography that maybe you don't, most people that see Nebraska, they're on I-80 and they're like, this is the boringest state in the world.
Yeah.
Dismal River's a beautiful, beautiful area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. They set that place along this huge, massive hill that you look out to on the clubhouse. And then the river basin has 3 or 4 of the most, beautiful holes that you ever play. And it's just a place you can go. There's only 40 people on the property at any given time. The food's fantastic. The golf is great. There's 36 holes. So we go every year, and it's been a pretty awesome tradition.
Why are there only 40 people on the grounds at one time?
I can't figure it out either, but it's a great kept secret.
Okay. I thought that was like
more popular, but
I thought you were saying that was like a regulation of like, no, we want to keep it so there's one person per acre type of thing.
The infrastructure isn't there for 100, 200 people, I don't think, but it might get there, honestly.
And I could be wrong here. Well, I know this. It's in the middle of nowhere, Ross. So, I mean, getting there is hard. And I'm willing to bet, Dr. Sullivan, you didn't drive there. I bet you flew in there.
We did fly in there, actually. Yeah, yeah. Land in a field. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean that's how remote this is, Ross. You're like, how are we going to get there? We driving? No, we're going to take a plane. And you
wow,
like,
and land in a field.
No cell reception. True story. It's crazy.
Man, yeah, you're isolated for sure.
We used to say that same story when we used to come up here, Dr. Sullivan. No, there's no cell, so can't even call anybody.
That's right. Oh, that's great.
So we started the show talking about Tyrese Haliburton, and he ruptured his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and they've already come out and said he is not going to play next season. So and I immediately thought of you because you see this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Is that the smart thing to do, to say, is to cut off those expectations right now? And we've talked about Achilles before, but you're going to talk about a 1.5 year recovery from this. Just talk about the decision 2 weeks after surgery to say, nope, he's not playing.
Yeah, I think it's a wise one. The Achilles is your explosiveness, right? So sports, especially like basketball, football, where you have to get somewhere quickly, you just don't get that back in a normal time range. It's a longer recovery likely than most ACL recoveries. So, to shortchange him and say we're going to try and get him ready for February of next year, that's only 6-7 months away. And, what's it worth at that point when the risk of re-injury is probably higher? So a guy like Haliburton, he doesn't want to look anything but himself. And traditionally an Achilles injury, 30 years ago, that was basically a career ender for most NBA guys. So now that they can get back, it's pretty incredible. But it does take time to build that explosiveness back.
What are they looking for in these initial couple of days? How are they able to identify that it's going to be that long of a recovery? What are the things that they're looking for within those injuries that can give them that indication of maybe it's a 6-month recovery or a year recovery? Is that just patient specific?
An Achilles rupture is almost an all or nothing event. So, they usually happen kind of mid tendon. And, ultimately the diagnosis is pretty clear within 5 minutes of seeing the patient. So
wow.
Typically, it's kind of like, hey, this is how long it's going to take regardless. Now, how many resources you have, how many people are dedicated towards your recovery, that definitely helps. But a high-end thing like the NBA or NFL, and there's so much invested, they're going to take their time.
So when Aaron Rodgers was able to come back like after 3.5, 4 months, how is that even possible? Because like you said, if you rupture an Achilles, it doesn't matter which kind of grade it is. It's still a pretty serious deal. How can one person come back in 3.5 months and another person come back in a 1.5 years?
So, typical recovery after Achilles, there's some evidence that weight bearing early is a good thing and it helps to strengthen the tendon. So, by 3 months, you're walking in a shoe. And if you've been working really hard at things, you can have some limited mobility side to side. You can kind of put some high tops on and peg leg it around. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would have looked anything like his normal self or his expectations for himself. And I don't recall. Did he actually come back? I know there's discussion he was going to, and then he did not, right?
Well, I think he suited up, and I don't know if that was for bonus reasons, for money reasons, but I don't think he. If he did, it was like 1 or 2 plays. I'm trying to remember going back that far. Let's just put it this way: he didn't make a difference, right?
Right.
Because the Jets were bad anyway.
Right. I think they made the wise decision and not to push that timeline either. I mean, could you try as a pocket passer? Maybe, but it's not going to look pretty, I don't think.
When we talk about just different injuries, and you're around sports a lot, and you see a lot of patients, whether it's football, basketball, volleyball, whatever, what's the worst injury in sports? Like, besides like a compound fracture like we saw with Joe Theismann years ago, if you're a doctor and you're worried about an athlete really coming back, what's the worst injury an athlete can have?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably all relative, but remember that Willis McGahee injury back for Miami when his knee was planted. A knee dislocation is a pretty significant event. When you tear more than one ligament around the knee, you're risking a vascular injury. You're risking all sorts of things. So we always think about that. That's a pretty significant one. But something as simple as a labrum tear or a rotator cuff tear in a pitcher, for doing what they need to do, it's a huge event, right? But to us, it's not a big deal. You fix it and move on. But they may not get back to the level they want to be at. So that's as bad as a multi-leg knee injury to them.
Seems to me like with big guys, it's feet and ankles that can be lingering problems with. I got a cousin that's like 6'7", and he was a great basketball player until he hurt his foot, and he's 40 and walks with a limp.
I think that was the Yao Ming injury, right? Didn't that derail his career, foot injury?
I didn't even realize that. Wow. Okay.
Those big guys get what's called a Liz Frank injury, where some ligaments in between the kind of the structures of the toes get disrupted, and then that's your basis for everything you do, right? So the taller you are, the more difficult that injury becomes, I think.
We saw with Tyrese, and I think this kind of transitions a little bit into Caitlin Clark, Dr. Sullivan, that it's a series of injuries. With Tyrese, they were worried about one thing, and then all of a sudden the Achilles is actually what snaps. With Caitlin, it's kind of been this moving target of lingering things. Is that a direct byproduct of compensating? Does one injury often lead to other injuries that don't seem related, like what we saw with Tyrese and Caitlin here recently?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can, no doubt about it. Caitlin's, I'm not exactly clear. I've been hearing groin, that can mean a lot of things, right? So that can be your hip flexor, which is how you sprint. That could be your adductor tendon, which is the tendon that goes, in on the inside of your leg, where if you accidentally do the splits or something, you can strain that. It can also mean the hip joint, like if you injure your labrum, which that ultimately becomes probably a bigger problem. The muscular and tendinous things, those will likely heal with rest. If you start getting into some cartilage stuff around the hip, that's something that could warrant surgery. And I'm speaking out of turn. I don't really know her injury, but we all hope it's a quick turnaround and back to health, because she's incredible to watch play.
Well, you bring up a good point. I never thought of this, because and this is human nature. We start making stuff up in our head as we read into it. You're like, that's a groin injury. I pulled a groin before. But you're saying, when you say groin, that's a very vague term.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the training staff, I'm sure, has a handle on it, but it is very. The hip is a little more complex than we all think, and especially in basketball, when you're turning and pivoting and you're relying on that, to get places. So yeah, it could be anything as simple as, hey, we're through this problem, or could potentially linger for her their entire year, depending upon what it actually is.
Man,
so we've had a lot of people comment, because this is what we do. We start making stuff up in our head, and I mean, that's human nature. If the less details we're given, the more we make details up in our head. And a lot of people have wondered about Caitlin Clark, who was never injured really in high school, was never injured in college, never missed a game, has missed a number of games this year. And a lot of people go, okay, her body took a beating in year one, and they knew she had to become, bulk the body up, get into a better weight training program. Can your change in workout and lifting more weights, changing your body, lead to injury?
Yeah, I mean, if there's an imbalance, for sure. And also, as important as, working out and getting stronger, rest and recovery is a big deal. These girls play a relatively compressed season. I don't think if you look at the NBA, what is it, late October to June?
Yeah.
The WNBA seems to be, much more compressed. I don't know their frequency of games relative to the NBA, but a basketball season is quite a grind. So I think it's a combination of those things, and also being keyed on and focused on by the other teams. And those are all tricky things to deal with. And she's kind of navigating those waters right now.
So the high school sports season just right around the corner. Is this a downtime for you? Do you have like several surgeries scheduled today? And I guess my question was, what should athletes be doing now to get ready for football, volleyball, all the stuff that's coming up?
Yeah, good question. For me, it's just Groundhog Day. I got clinic on Tuesdays, surgery on Wednesdays. It just kind of rinse, cycle, repeat. But it is a little bit of a pause in the activities. It's kind of a nice reset for some families. I would say to any kids out there, take 3 months off from any sport that you play. Go on family vacation with your family and take some time off. That's invaluable. And then lastly, I think what we don't focus on, I think flexibility is becoming a lot bigger of a deal. And your muscles can't fire adequately unless you have appropriate flexibility. So as important as it is to strengthen, I think it's important to, stretch, relax, meditate, yoga, whatever you want to call it, but to kind of give yourself, that yin and yang so that you're not always doing the same thing.
It does seem to me, and you haven't been around this for 30 years or something like this, doctor, but you've been around long enough to have some sort of perspective on change here. It does seem to me like kids are more and more conscious about their health, their flexibility, their nutrition. Athletes at a younger and younger age are becoming really conscious of this stuff. I do think at some point it can be bad. If wrestlers are worried about their weight at 9, that's we've gone too far. But it does seem like high school athletes to me are way more conscious about stuff than we were in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, that may be one good influence of social media, to be honest. They might listen to a healthy podcast or something, or maybe their parents are getting healthier. But I do notice that in the kids that I see, college, just graduated from college, high school kids, it does seem as though they're dialed a little bit more than I know I was back then.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you go to one of these fancy, like high-powered gyms, right? I mean,
hey.
Oh, yeah, we're not supposed to talk about it, but it's like this hefty workout. How old are you guy? You about 42, 43?
44.
44. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to be 55. And you used the word yin and yang earlier. So this has been popping up on my reels too, because I'm like a 14-year-old girl and I watch reels.
TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned flexibility. Tai Chi has been popping up a lot on my reel. And it's like, hey, guys over 50, Tai Chi is the way to go. Is that what I should do? Some Tai Chi?
It sounds like subliminally someone's listening to you at home. I don't know anything about Tai Chi. You know what? If you end up doing a class, let me know. I'll go with you. I'd be curious to find out about it.
Film it for we can get it for content. I want to see, what is Tai Chi? Is it like yoga but martial arts?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Sounds like a combo.
Yeah, I don't know what it. Here's the problem. Anytime you put in like workouts for guys over 50, you get some weird stuff. Like chair yoga pops up on my feed a lot. Like how to work out without really, with a chair.
Chair yoga. Travis, the algorithm thinks that you are 80 years old.
It does.
What have you done? What have you done? What are you watching?
It's gotten all the porn out of my algorithm, which is good, right? And now it's just
Travis, what's your routine right now? What do you do right now?
I do absolutely nothing. See, and here's the problem, Doc. I do absolutely zero.
This is why the algorithm is suggesting chair yoga for you, my friend.
Yeah. But Doc, to be fair, and you finally saw us through this way. When you did the old show, it was just on the phone. So you never met me in person. I've lost 75 pounds over the last year and a half. Okay.
That's incredible.
And I did it all with diet and it's worked. But what happens when you lose 75 pounds and you're in your mid-50s and you don't work out? You lose all muscle mass. I mean, I have zero muscle now. So I'm like, okay, do I probably need to strengthen up, the flab? So I'm just like, okay, I don't like it. Little secret between us boys, I don't like to work hard when it comes to this stuff. Okay, so I'm looking for the least path of resistance here.
Yeah,
and so that's what's coming up: chair yoga and Tai Chi.
Chair yoga.
You need to try it and let us know.
All right, what's the toughest thing you do in your workout? Because you're one of those again. High-powered impact thing.
No,
right?
no. I'm a guy that's trying to outwork a bad diet. That's all that's happening here.
Okay.
6-7 days a week so that I can eat poorly. But I need to change that. But as I told you, we got 16, 18 guys that do come 3 times a week for a circuit type workout. But I've got to be honest with you. One guy asked me about his neck today. We got guys that are walking on the treadmill. I mean, we look like the walking wounded. So we're very quickly transitioning into the chair yoga phase of our career.
Yeah, let me tell you. I can tell you what the biggest part of your problem is. You mentioned the age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because you can't fight it. Do you get that a lot? And now I'm going down a rabbit hole. But you said you had a guy ask you about his neck. One of my best friends is a lawyer, so I'm always calling him for lawyer advice, then I expect pro bono work on the top. When you're on the treadmill or how much free advice do you find yourself giving?
Oh, I mean, it's all the time, but they give it reciprocally, to whatever their career is. I'm asking them. I'm a nuisance to them too, so it's just part of being a friend, I think.
I would worry more in your position, Doc, that it would be like they're asking you stuff that's way out of your area of expertise. Like I can see myself being in the treadmill next to you and being like, "Hey, I got this tooth thing happening. Can you?"
Yeah, they us orthopedists, we're simple creatures. They know not to ask things out of our realm.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. We're simple creatures. We just passed a certain type of medical school. It wasn't. Yeah. I'm not smart.
We're the butt of the joke in the medical field. I mean,
no, you're not. No, those are.
No, you're not the butt of the joke. You're probably the envy of the medical field because you're just. It's like you're printing money is what you're doing. You're just printing money.
Well, look, it's a fun career. That's all I can say, and I've been thrilled with it. Lucky to be, to call myself an orthopedist, and we got an awesome medical community that, that supports us. So,
well, we're lucky in Des Moines to have DMOS. Thanks for helping, and thank you for coming on with us and answering our stupid questions about stuff because it does help us out. And we do when you're not on with us. I bet your name gets brought up about twice a week because we're like, well, what does this injury mean? We should call Dr. Sullivan.
You guys call me anytime. Like, yeah, this is great. I love it.
All right. Just so I know, Tuesdays are the best day for you, though, right?
Tuesday morning, I could do 7 a.m. whenever you want.
Okay. We'll remember that because, again, you do get brought up a lot. And even if it's a 5-minute conversation, it's like, man, we don't know what we're talking about because if you haven't picked up on it, we're pretty stupid.
Just a little personal thing. Could you email me your cell phone just so I don't have to, email you all the time? I can just text you and say, hey, you're available.
That'd be perfect. 100%.
Right. Dr. Jason Sullivan, thank you so much for your time.
Care,
we appreciate it. Have fun at clinics today.
All right, fellas. Take care.
Right. Bye, buddy.
Thank you. You making fun of the chair yoga, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to. And if you do chair yoga before you're 70, I'm going to make fun of you.
Now, hold on. What would be worse? Chair yoga or water aerobics?
Boy, you're close. That's 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. I think that the chair yoga is still worse. I think because at least with the water aerobics, you've got to get out of a chair, get into a car, drive to a pool, get into a swimsuit, get into the pool. But the chair yoga, isn't that just stretching? Isn't that just like?
Well, yeah, but you
did some chair yoga.
You can do incline push-ups. You can do knee raises just right out of your chair. Stop it. What? Why do you got to give me that look? You don't have to act like I'm.
You can do
80
these
years old.
You can do these cool chair dips for a tricep workout.
Exactly. You can do that on a machine, but because it's a weight machine, it looks cool. If I do it on a chair, well, you look old.
Yeah, I love it. So Sharkus resorted and said, hey, Ross, DDP's chair yoga has saved the lives of countless wrestlers. Do you know who DDP is, Travis?
No.
It's Diamond Dallas Page. It was his name. And DDP was a professional wrestler that then found Christ, and his body was breaking down like all of these professional wrestlers. These guys beat the crap out of their bodies for 50 years. And then at the end of it, their bodies are crumbling. And so Diamond Dallas Page created this workout routine for guys in their 70s who had beat the crap out of their body for 50 years. Sharkus wants you to know that's a good program for you. Just I wanted to put some context onto what DDP's...
Let me put context behind what you just said is I haven't beaten the crap out of my body for 50 years.
Right.
I've done nothing to my body over 50 years.
Yep, we see
get
that.
Fat, get skinny, get fat, get skinny. That's the only thing I've done to my body.
You went the Oprah method. You just decided,
yeah,
I'm gonna keep my body. I'm gonna keep my body guessing. He did. I am not downplaying DDP's story is amazing. Diamond Dallas Page is this very unique professional wrestler who is legit, Travis. He is a evangelical Christian and has this program that helps these guys not only get their bodies back in shape, but because a lot of these dudes had a lifetime of addiction and just beating up their body in every way possible. And this one professional wrestler came back and said, hey guys, here's the way out. It's pretty cool.
You know, a lot of people are on my side here, Ross. You like to poke fun at me.
Yeah, I do.
We're getting, and nothing says you're old when people, and they support my idea of chair yoga here, but they're like, hey, PBS has a great morning show with chair yoga. Can you say you're really old when you get your main programming that's not cartoon related off of PBS?
I didn't say
PBS is like for ages 0 to 8 and 65 and older.
Please, yes. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I think that's a good perspective to have on this. When somebody is suggesting to you, hey, you're not old, there's stuff just like this on PBS. I know a community for you, and it's on PBS. That's an indicator that I'm glad that you caught that and you were like, oh,
Other people are suggesting retirement communities I could vacation to where I'd fit in just fine. Dude from Iowa's like, you need to go to the Villages for a week. Yes, I'm old. And all I am doing is looking for the least amount of work because I don't like to work hard when it comes to working out.
Chair yoga. It's stretching. That's called
kind of like
stretching.
black licorice. Don't knock it until you try it. Such a jerk. So mean to me.
All right, I'm gonna eat some eggs Benedict here. Okay.
You know,
I'm gonna enjoy my vacation.
Are you leaving the show now? Is
No,
that what
no.
you're doing? Oh,
Yeah, you got a half hour here. Just have Dr. Sullivan back on with you. Eli, thank you so much, buddy.
See, Ross is going to eat some eggs Benedict, so why not take a break right now? Makes sense to do so. It is the Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's 25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
Hi, I'm John Linares, sales manager here at Willis Lexus, and it is summertime, and it's time to roll down the windows and enjoy that nice weather. For the first time in a long time, we have TX available in stock, and we are taking $1,500 off in stock models. And speaking of cash off, we've got $2,000 of lease cash on all ES models, and if you're looking to finance, we have rates as low as 3.79 on popular models like RX, NX, IS, and ES. I invite you to stop in and take a new one for a drive, or visit us online at willislexus.com.
Missing a quality home-cooked meal? You know, the kind Mom used to make? Lucky for you, we found her recipe book. Welcome to the High Life. Welcome to the Champagne of Bars.
Looking for the perfect golf escape? Experience links-style golf right here in Ames at Coldwater Golf Links. With rolling fairways, large greens, and unique routing, it's golf the way it's meant to be played. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you'll love our course's welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. Grab your clubs, book a tee time, and make every round unforgettable. Coldwater Golf Links, where great golf leads to great memories. Visit coldwatergolf.com to book your round today.
Hi, I'm Sean McFarland, Service Manager at Mini of Des Moines. School is out and summer is here. Before you hit the road for your motoring adventures, visit us for your oil changes, get your AC checked out, or make sure your tires are roadworthy. Give us a call to schedule or visit us online at miniofdesmoines.com.
Back to the Rush. Strong opinions, weak filters, and just enough sense to stay on the air. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
I should do that.
Welcome back to the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive. Wonderful, beautiful Tuesday afternoon or morning. Ross just down some Egg Benedict. Did you get the whole thing gone?
I didn't. I didn't even get a bite of it. I truly didn't even get a bite.
How did that not happen?
Because I had to go. I know.
Eggs Benedict.
Because I had to use the restroom. I was finishing off my core power with my coffee. So I went up to get a splash of coffee. I had to pee, and literally as I sat back down, the intro's playing. And I said to Dusty, that's all right. I'm not much of a breakfast guy anyway. And as we're on the air, Dusty goes, Ross, it's the best Eggs Benedict we've ever had.
Now, he did that on purpose. You know that, right? He
no,
did
Dusty's not that type of guy. My friends don't. Your friends, you're the type of guy that would do it just to. But Dusty meant it as heartfelt, like, hey, you don't want to miss out on this Eggs Benedict.
Now, can't you bring a plate out on the boat and eat as you're heading out?
I love it. It's fun when people, like, he just said, can't you take a plate out on the boat?
As we hear the laughing in the background, obviously you can't take a plate out on the boat.
No, I mean, Travis, you can't take a cup of coffee without a lid. If you took a cup of coffee, you'd have a drop of coffee and you'd be wearing a cup of coffee.
So you're telling me the water's kind of choppy.
Yeah, even on a calm day, like when you're out on the boat, even getting going, you're going to tip and toddle and there's up and down and back and forth and stuff like that. You would not. You'd be wearing this within minutes. I'm telling you, dude. The food up here is unbelievable. That's the thing. I remember Bruno, and I don't want to say Bruno's hard to please by any stretch, because he's not. Bruno's a really fun guy to be around and stuff like this. But I was worried about Bruno coming up here because he's not much of an outdoorsman. He doesn't really fish. He'd never fished before. And we came up here, and I kind of told him about all of that stuff. What I hadn't told him about was the food. And I do remember that first year we were up here, and Bruno was like, dude, you undersell the food. The foods here are amazing.
Your fresh fruit today are grapes.
Yeah.
You got the Eggs Benedict. I'm not an Eggs Benedict guy. I don't, because what is it? 2 poached eggs with some. I know.
With hollandaise sauce.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Did you just say holiday sauce?
No, hollandaise.
Okay,
hollandaise. What is hollandaise sauce, by the way? What is
delicious?
What is,
that's what it is. It's just delicious. Yeah. When people ask you how do they make hollandaise sauce, you say, well, they take sauce and they make it delicious.
Do you know who John Christ is?
Comedian.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
Christian comedian.
And he's part of the Awful Announcing Network. He's got himself a podcast, and he recently had Kirk Herbstreit on.
Okay.
And it was a really good interview with Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit, I think I think Pat McAfee has been really good for Kirk Herbstreit. And he talks about Pat McAfee here. And I think what happens when you're with an organization for 30 plus years, and this is kind of a maturation of a human being, right? Is that once you become fairly secure in your position, you know you're probably set up for life. Kirk Herbstreit could probably retire tomorrow and wouldn't have to work again. But you become maybe a little bit more outspoken. And I think we've seen that with Kirk Herbstreit. I think he's become a lot more comfortable in his own skin. Not saying he wasn't always there, but voicing what he really feels on certain topics. And it was a wide-ranging interview with John Christ on the podcast that he had, part of the Awful Announcing Network. But one thing that he said is making headlines because people are getting butthurt over what he said. It has to do with, and they are. And I think I want you to listen to this, because I think people are making a mountain out of a molehill. And we can go into a much deeper conversation when it comes to announcers, fandom, and all that. But he was asked about being a fan and being a journalist or a play-by-play guy. So it's about 1:29 long. So you'll be able to, if you can listen and eat at the same time. I'm giving you it out here so you can eat, but I want you to listen, and we'll talk about the controversial part when we come back. Here's Kirk Herbstreit on the John Christ podcast.
Now, if you're a personality like a Bill Simmons or a Pat McAfee, or like a Stephen A. Smith, that part of their shtick is kind of that. Yeah, I think they're very, like, even on game day, Pat, West Virginia, like he's always talking. Like, I never do that about Ohio State, ever. And that's why a lot of Ohio State fans probably don't care for me, because I treat Ohio State like every other team. You know, and I don't think it's if you're calling games, it might be different if you're in a studio. If you're calling games, and let's say you're an Alabama fan and I'm calling an Ohio State Alabama game, how the hell can you take what I say seriously? If I'm sitting up there saying, we almost caught, like, I would never do that. Well, to me,
if you're calling a game nationally,
if you're the
local guy, then you can be
local guy that's doing like the Tennessee Titans game, he should be yelling, hey,
we are the best.
Or the college football
down
announcers.
by 30. We're going to come back.
We still got this.
ESPN Plus guys, dude, are like the whatever they were.
Because those are the local guys.
Yeah, those guys are the most biased.
They're like cheering in the booth. But I don't think you can cheer when you do games. It's like on a national level. But you're right. Guys that are in a studio show nationally, you watch Sports Center and Elle Duncan is sitting there cheering for Georgia.
She's Georgia,
openly cheering. So I'm not a fan of that personally, but.
All right. So the controversial part there was the Elle Duncan comment, because Elle Duncan works for ESPN, and she fired back, said, "Oh, I didn't have this on my bingo card. Why am I the only one being singled out?" And I don't think she was the only one being singled out. I think he singled out Pat McAfee. Yeah, he singled out several. And I thought the clarification, and this is what the problem with sound bites are. They'll say, you look at Elle Duncan, and she's on SportsCenter openly cheering for Georgia. Okay, but the whole conversation started out with him talking about being a national play-by-play and color analyst. And I kind of agree with him when it comes to that case. Like with Gary Dolphin and John Walters, we expect them to be fans of the team they're calling, right? When you're doing a game for ABC or ESPN, we don't want the announcers to be openly rooting for a team. It would be very, very odd, weird, and you could see where people would get upset about it. But he had the clarification when it comes to studio guys. And all he said, you look at Elle Duncan cheering for Georgia. I'm not a fan of that personally. I don't think that's a rip against her.
I mean, I think that it's probably a personal preference thing, Travis. This is one of those situations you can't win. You can't win. When Kirk Herbstreit says, I never mentioned that I never cheer more for Ohio State. Bullshit. We've all
internally
seen it.
You probably do.
And even if you're not doing it externally, that's how I see it, because I know you're an Ohio State guy. So when you don't say we with Ohio State, when you don't give them favor, when you don't acknowledge that they are your favorite team, it feels disingenuous to me. I don't think when Elle Duncan says she's a Georgia fan, or like let's use Chris Hassel.
Yes.
Does Chris Hassel lose credibility on CBS Sports because he acknowledges that he's a Hawkeye fan? No. I don't think it does at all, because I've never seen anybody else. I've never diminished somebody's credibility because they acknowledged something that was true. They're saying, oh yeah, everybody knows. And in fact, she's just proud of the fact that she went to Georgia. I wouldn't know that she was from Georgia if she didn't openly cheer for them. So she does it so that hey, I'm proud of this thing. Nobody would know I was an East High grad if I didn't constantly remind them I'm an East High grad, right?
What I don't like about the criticism that's coming to Herbstreit on this is that the claims that, well, you singled her out because she's a woman or because of her race. I don't believe that. I think he stated an opinion which started out talking about play-by-play.
Yeah.
And I follow in your boat. I don't care who somebody is a fan of. What I don't like are disingenuous, non-realistic fans. And I don't mean this personally this isn't a personal attack, but let's use when we started Sound Off. Okay, when we started Sound Off, we started saying, hey, this isn't your grandpa's Sound Off anymore, meaning we're going to do a completely different show. The fandom I don't like, personally, is when you're such a fan of the team that it never does anything wrong, meaning we did Sound Off for 3 hours after every single game, but we didn't have blinders on to where we watched something that was bad. We said it was bad, right? When you start finding, well, let's look for the good. Okay, sometimes you can't polish a turd, right?
Yeah, right. And I mean, I think you've kind of alluded to this too, and Tony says it in the chat here. Man, Herbstreit, this is society twisting the point, right? Because he's not picking on her. He doesn't just signal or single her out. He goes to a litany of things. But Pat McAfee has this shtick. Stephen A. Smith has his shtick. I don't do a shtick, which is kind of shticky to say he doesn't do a shtick when then he describes my shtick is not to do the shtick. I don't talk about Ohio State when everybody knows I was the starting quarterback at the university. It's the first thing in my bio is...
And you live in Columbus, and your son goes to Ohio State.
But we all forget about it, Kirk, because you don't acknowledge... I mean, again, I'm not trying to pick on the guy here. I think that it is somebody used the word perspective. JT Nutt. JT said it's perspective. That's the word. It's perspective. And he's right about the thing of being a play-by-play guy. Think about Mitch Holthus.
Yeah, but he is specifically for the Chiefs, right?
Exactly right. That's what I'm saying. That's what you want. When you fire up your broadcast, you want to have the most ridiculously blinded fan in the world because every first down it means a big deal. And when there's a flag, they're out to screw us. You want Bill Blank on your play-by-play team. Right, you want a guy that's blinded by the laundry. And Herbstreit wanted to be a national guy. He wants to be seen as a national guy. He wants to be seen as an impartial guy. That's all fine and admirable. And he's done a very good job. I think he's done a very good job of doing that.
He's the best in the business right now.
Completely agree.
Best in the business.
But I don't forget that he's an Ohio State guy because he doesn't tell me he's an Ohio State guy, and I don't think worse of Al Duncan or Chris Hassel or any of those guys when I find out where they went to school or grew up, and they want to remind people of it.
Because I got news for everybody, and I don't care where you fall in your fandom. You could be an Iowa State fan, you could be an Iowa fan, you could be a Nebraska fan. You're a fan of somebody, right? I mean, yes, you're supposed to, but I think you can be a fan and be objective at the same time. I do believe that. Now, and I think the way social media has changed things, the way content is delivered now, if you are open and honest about your team without blinders, people can look through your fandom and go, okay, at least he's being objective about it, or she's being objective. What I don't like is making this about sex, what sex you are, what race you are. That he wasn't.
But Trav, again, dude, this is that framework of conversation in society right now. The best thing you can be, nobody can be above victim. If you can be victim, you can be you win the conversation. And that's everybody's in this mentality of like, oh, I can win the conversation if I'm the victim because nobody can attack me.
Is that the moral high ground you're always talking about?
Yes, exactly right. You're nailing it. It's the framework. It's the guy's name was, I want to say Oren Flack, but I'm missing something. I'm missing his name in there somewhere.
And
yeah,
they went on to talk about, and I cut it off because this is why I think you need to listen to things in whole perspective. Because when you look at his facial expressions, when you listen to his tone, it was not a personal knock against L. Duncan. They went on to talk about Scott Van Pelt. Scott Van Pelt hosts SportsCenter. Scott Van Pelt is an open Maryland fan,
right?
Because he went to. I want him to be a Maryland fan because you went to freaking school.
Exactly.
There.
Don't deny it and try to lie to me about it. And I don't think Herbstreit's lying. I
don't think so either.
Yeah. Jason Boffman wrote in Hawk Harrelson. Remember Hawk, dude? He was such a homer. He would refer the teams were never the White Sox and the Yankees. The White Sox never played it was the good guys and the bad guys.
But that's the difference between a home announcer and a national announcer.
Yeah.
And I think when the knock on SportsCenter would be, okay, you're supposed to be up there as an anchor, as a journalist, not taking sides here. Again, it's changing with the times. Much like college athletics has changed from what it is today to what it was 10 years ago. Things change, things evolve. It's just how you react to those. And we do live in an opinion society. And if we got on here every single day and just broke down X's and O's, you would be bored as hell. Nobody would be listening to this show whatsoever if we were just talking X's and O's. People want to know what you think. At least that's what I think people want. And we're drawn towards opinion, whether you agree with them or not. People are drawn towards opinions.
Trev, it's the same thing. Not everybody wants the same thing. Kirk Herbstreit doesn't want to be a guy that's known as just an Ohio State fan, so he tries not to be that. I'm not saying Pat McAfee just wants to be known as a West Virginia fan, but he doesn't run from it. He doesn't care that that's part of his identity, the way that Kirk Herbstreit doesn't necessarily want to be known as the Ohio State guy. He wants to be seen as an impartial fan.
And I'm okay with that. But again, the dust up isn't really about that conversation. The dust
That's
up
crazy. It's never about it's never that. And then that again, Travis, it's Orrin Claff was the guy's name. That's that framework of conversation that I've always tried to talk about. There's a high ground. It instead of looking at like a window, almost look at it like a pyramid. There's a high ground in a conversation. And in a debate, you're racing for that high ground. Who can get above the other person to go, well, you can't argue this thing. And
but
the best in society
it's not even
right
a
now,
race anymore, right? I mean, people are going straight. You either go straight to victim or hero, and you're like, here I am.
Again, race. It's an instant. As soon as I can declare it, oh, I'm the victim here today. Didn't have this on my bingo card. Dude, there's so many of these little like buzzword things that I get so sick of. You know what? Another one that it drives me nuts when I hear it. That's putting off real such and such energy. It's giving this. I'm too old. I'm a curmudgeon.
I mean,
I'm in my happy place. You know what? I'm in my happy place.
I've got a lake behind me. I've got fish to catch, and I'm eating eggs Benedict. Why do you got to make me like this, Justice? Why do you got to make me like this? But I quote you a lot, Ross, because you gave me the most valuable lesson in a way to articulate it, and I used it yesterday. We were talking just about kind of similar things. People getting hurt over words. You hear the words hurt and being offended. And I used your quote the other day, and that was, if you're offended, that is a you problem. Meaning you need to look in why it isn't my problem you're offended by what I have to say. That's a you problem. And I look at L. Duncan here, who fired back right away, and that's the problem with keyboards. Is you're like, I'm going straight to Twitter. I'm going to let you know what I think. Didn't have this on my bingo card. you need to go back, watch the whole thing, because I guarantee originally she probably only saw the headline, which was, Kirk Herbstreit talks about L. Duncan, says, criticizes her open Georgia fan. And you see the headline and you react to the headline. You watch that whole thing in its entirety, you go, that wasn't bad at all. He wasn't singling her out specifically. Now, if he would have done a minute and a half, 2 minutes on L. Duncan and only focused on that changes the narrative a little bit. It was 10 seconds at the end of a very long explanation of why he goes about his business the way he does.
Travis, could be that she saw an article that had drawn that out and said, and maybe that's what it was. The way that you read the timeline to me, or the way that I interpret it, if she just put out a tweet that said, didn't have this on, unless there was a link to a story that said Kirk Herbstreit attacks L. Duncan, probably what happened is that some friend of hers heard it, got offended, thought that was an attack on my friend.
How could a coworker do that to another coworker? You work for the same organization.
Or a text, you're not going to believe this. I'm literally shaking. Kirk Herbstreit just assaulted you on a podcast. What did he say? He said you're a Georgia fan. He said you act like Pat McAfee. How dare he?
And that's the framework you just used. And
right.
You used victim and you used the word attack. He did not attack her by any means.
But if somebody sent that to her and said, you've got to listen to this, he attacked, and then she goes into it with that mindset, and she listens to that, and then her name gets brought up, and she goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe my coworker would say something so horrible about me. When you just hear it in a vacuum, you hear it and you go, oh yeah, he said people are different. How dare he? How dare he claim that some people want to be known as fans and some people don't? And it's whatever.
You don't like grapes?
No, go ahead. I'm done anyway.
You're done? Did you eat it all? Did you eat all the?
I didn't eat it all, but I waited too long and it got kind of cold. So,
because you know what hollandaise sauce isn't good at? It being cold. You need a warm hollandaise.
Well, I mean, the whole thing. The Eggs Benedict is a hollandaise sauce on top of a poached egg, and a poached egg is the hardest type of egg to make. So it's thyme, and then it's on top. Then there's ham underneath the poached egg, which of course you want ham to be hot. Now here's the magic: it all sits on top of an English muffin. Now, do you know much about English muffins? Have you ever had a Thomas's English muffin?
All I know is that I'll get some English muffins when I used to eat carbs, and I'd get them at the store, and I'd throw them in the toaster and put some butter, peanut butter, jelly on top of it. That's okay. What I do with an English muffin.
You more than likely bought a Thomas's English muffin, all right? Okay. And if you bought a Thomas's English muffin, you bought a package that on it said Thomas's English muffin for the nooks and crannies, all right?
Now, is an English muffin the same thing as a crumpet, by the way?
No, not the same thing as a crumpet. No, an English muffin is different because of the way that it's baked and the way when you cut it open, it's got all of those little nooks and crannies in it, right? But the Thomas's English muffin is very special. It's different from all the other English muffins. And for not only the way that it's made and the way that it tastes and cuts open and all that, but because of its nooks and crannies. And they trademarked that phrase, nooks and crannies. So no other English muffin has nooks and crannies. Other English muffins have cracks and crevices.
Okay.
They can have crevice. I did say crevice and crack. But none of them have nooks and crannies. Only the Thomas's English muffin.
See, what makes an English muffin English?
Less people know the recipe for a Thomas's English muffin than know the real recipe for Coca-Cola. There's like 6 people on the planet that know the recipe for Thomas's English muffin.
I bet I could Google it right now and find it.
Think so, huh?
That's what I'm thinking.
Google it. Google it. See what you find.
But I don't want to make my own Thomas's English muffins. I just want to go to the store and buy.
You don't want to because you can't.
Man. Like, I don't want to know Kentucky Fried Chicken's secret recipe. I just want to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and have Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I'm with you.
Do you fry your fish that you catch up there?
Yep.
I had some catfish down in Mississippi the other day. I want to know how they fry their catfish, because Ross, I've never had fried catfish like this, to where the coating is like so thick and there's no grease. If I fry fish or chicken, it's kind of greasy. It's
greasy.
Not, yeah. This was like, I go, is this like flash fried? How do you get it like that? Because it was good. And it actually felt healthy. It wasn't healthy at all, but it felt healthy.
Hey, Mike, Travis had some catfish down south that he said was fried. Really, it was like a thick breading, had no grease in it. What is there something? Is that jump out at you as something special they do to that? Okay. Mike just said it sounds delicious. So
and it was. That's all that mattered, is that it tasted really, really good. Really, really good.
I'm guessing it had something to do with either the breading and the way they fried it.
Yeah, extremely hot.
Maybe to get the grease real hot, but I don't feel like that would, because you can burn the breading if it's too hot. Yeah. You can cook it so that the inside's still kind of mush, and the
this
outside.
Is what it was. It was.
Well, maybe that was it.
Your buddy Flag says it's cornstarch. Cornstarch.
Okay, that could be it. That could be it.
The only thing I use cornstarch for is my chafing.
You mean the ball powder? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I was eating ball powder?
Just saying. All right, buddy. I know you're going to go fishing.
I'm out of here,
a little bit early.
All right.
I
love you.
I will see you tomorrow.
All right. Talk to you soon, bud.
All right. Ross Peterson live at Lake of the Woods as he's on his week-long fishing excursion. Good conversations today around the injuries of Tyrese Haliburton, who's going to be sitting out all next season. Moved on to Caitlin Clark. Dr. Jason Sullivan joined us for a good conversation around those injuries. If you missed that interview, you can go back to the podcast version of the show. Listen to Dr. Jason Sullivan. That happened right at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. So make sure to check that out. And, of course, the final conversation about Kirk Herbstreit and L. Duncan, again, making a mountain out of a molehill. And it's a perfect example of when you hear something in its entirety and people pick out just a really small clip and get all upset about it. But when you hear it in its entirety, you're like, nah, you're not taking a shot at her. You're just being what your preference is. And you watch and listen to the show every single day. At least we hope you do. And I'm sure there's been some things that I've said or Ross said. You're like, what an idiot. I don't agree with that. Or you get upset about it. But you don't take it personal. If you do take it personal, that's a you problem, a big you problem. So, hey, don't forget that if you want some Rush Radio Show merch, just go to therushradio.com. Up top, there is a merch tab. You can get yourself a T-shirt, a coffee mug, sticker. Stickers are going really hot right now. Maybe because it's like the lowest price thing on the menu. But 15% of all sales go to Can Play, Iowa. So make a difference. When you purchase some Rush Radio Show merch, you're actually contributing. Giving to a good cause. Can Play. We're going to be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. Go till 8. We thank you for taking your time, your 2 hours today to hang out with us, have a little bit of fun with us, and start your day off right. It is the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
This is Body Armor. Real hydration with electrolytes, no artificial dyes, and coconut water. Choose better. Body Armor.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Are you thinking about buying a home this year? Start by getting pre-approved with Gary Presnall at Northwest Bank in Des Moines to see how much you can qualify for and what loan programs meet your needs. Gary can get you pre-approved in 30 minutes or less with a pre-approval letter to you. Gary offers first-time home buyers programs, VA loans along with FHA, IFA, and conventional loans. Call Gary at 515-975-6767 or find his profile at nw.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Summer's here, and that can mean extra miles on your car. With road trips, summer activities, and more. Your Volvo will endure extra strain. Stop in now and get a vehicle inspection to make sure your Volvo is in the best shape possible. We'll even throw in $25 off an oil change. Give us a call or head online to willisvolvocars.com to get scheduled today.
Bread is made from scratch, freshly baked with locally sourced ingredients and love. At Big Sky Bakery, we take great pride in our delicious products. We know you'll enjoy them almost as much as we enjoy baking them. Find us at the downtown Des Moines Farmers Market every Saturday.
Back to the Rush. Strong opinions, weak filters, and just enough sense to stay on the air. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.